The Leap Foundation proudly presents the Meet the Mentor podcast with Dr. Bill Dorfman. Dr. Bill is a TV host, New York Times best-selling author, two-time Guinness World Book record holder, fitness guru, celebrity cosmetic dentist, and philanthropist who founded the Leap Foundation. Here's Dr. Bill.
Hey, Dr. Bill here. We're going to do a Meet the Mentor with a very good friend of mine who I've known for quite a while. But before we get to that, Leap 2023 will be July 16th to the 22nd at the beautiful UCLA campus. Now, in the past, we've had some pretty amazing speakers. Richard Branson, Paula Abdul, Mark Wahlberg, Michael Strahan, Anthony Hopkins, Kathy Bates, on and on and on. This year, I got a firm commitment from Shay Mitchell. From those of you that used to watch Pretty Little Liars, Shay has launched her own luggage line, and it is killing it. It's the fastest moving luggage line at Nordstrom's right now. So she'll talk a little bit about her career and about this new business and being a mom, which would be cool. And I have a really cool one. Well, should I tell them, you guys? Well, he plays the piano. Oh, we'll see if you can guess, Roy. He plays the piano. His first name is John, and his last name starts with an L.
What we got? John Lennon?
Well, John Lennon. No, we're going to go with John Legend.
Legend. I'm sorry, John Legend. I've been to his concert. Why did I say John Lennon?
Yeah. So I think we've got John Legend coming, and if we're lucky, he'll bring his lovely wife Christy too. So it would be a dynamic duo. And we're looking for some really amazing business leaders. So if any of you out there that are listening have people that you think would be great mentors for Leap, let me know. I also got a soft commitment from Stephen Dorff, who is a very well-known actor, and his last name is almost perfect. He just needs a little bit of a man at the end of it, and it would have been even better. But we'll get Stephen Dorff. So let me introduce you to our mentor for today. Roy Matlock Jr. is chairman of Terra Wealth Management and creator of the nationally syndicated radio show, The Money Game, now known as the Dave Ramsey Show. Roy began his wealth management career over 38 years ago when he was an infant. His focus has always been to help people become financially secure and to educate clients on how to manage money in order to create generational wealth. Over the past 38 years, Roy has helped his clients to accumulate over $1 billion in assets and has been touted as a well-respected educator and trailblazer in the financial industry. Roy is also owner of a financial technology business called Sales Team Pro and a digital marketing firm in Nashville, Tennessee, where he resides and where he continues to host his weekly radio show and podcast, The Money and Business Hour. Roy, welcome to Meet the Mentor. And I also want to thank you for your years and years of support with Leap, for coming to Leap last year, being a keynote speaker at our program, for sending a bunch of kids to the program, and just for being a great guy and a great friend. So thank you and welcome to Meet the Mentor.
Well, thank you, Bill. And what a great that event you put on, the Leap event. When I had to follow these two kids, and I'm like, man, this is intimidating. All I do is speak a lot of places, and I've done radio and done all that stuff. But the event you put on and the people that you brought out there was really good. And I mean, I've talked about this to a lot of people, and you've done a great job with that. It's a great foundation, and we go back a long ways, as you said. I met you through one of your good friends, Dennis Wells, and it was funny. The dental world, I got introduced to it because I had two different girlfriends that told me, hey, maybe you should get your teeth fixed. And I'm like, nah, I don't need that. I mean, what are you talking about? And then finally, on the third one, not that I have so many of them, but by the third one, she said, you should just go see Dr. Wells. And I got my teeth fixed. And so what you do for people, and it changes everything. I look back, I never smiled before I got my teeth fixed. So anyway, so I'm excited.
Well, now you got a killer grin. So let's go back to the beginning. How did you get into wealth management?
You know, I think the first thing that happened is I dropped out of college, and you know, that sounds crazy, but when you drop out of college, I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. My dad owned a manufacturing company and eventually sold it. Had 400 employees, built semi-trailers and truck. He was an international harvester dealer for like trucks. And we always grew up as just our family. My brother's self-employed. And so I got involved selling Cutco knives. All right. Now, if any of you know about Cutco knives, they're the great, it's pretty interesting. They've got a great presentation. And I became the number one college student in the United States. They were in the summertime, they had 20, 30 college students doing this. And I was like, I'm making more money doing this than the professors were trying to teach me how to do business. And I'm like, hang on a second here. I think I can do this. And so before I knew it, I did that for a number of years. And I was like, why am I wasting my time? So I took a few business courses outside of the 2 years of college. I went to a school that, took an accounting course, took some business law, things like that. And then about that time I met someone and I began a part-time side hustle for the sake of it and got my licenses to be a financial advisor. And that's kind of how it worked. But I spent 18 months doing it so I had two jobs. I had my money making that I was able to survive on. And then I had 18 months of learning as a sideline. So that was in 1984. So.
And where'd it go from there, Roy?
Well, it went from taking a lot of my background where I was not afraid to talk to people. And from there, I went 18 consecutive years in a row that I grew my business, grew my income. During that time, I became a marketer, did a lot of reading. Even to this day, I read everything. I mean, I'm a self-improvement fanatic. And so I read, I put the 10,000 hours into becoming an expert in my field. Ended up, had an idea one day. I thought, I was listening to this radio show in Nashville, and one of my reps said, you should do this radio show. You're better. You know more about this radio than this financial show. This guy, we were always making comments about how the guy that was doing it was just not that, didn't know it that well. I said, you should do it. So I called up one of my reps, Dave Ramsey, who had just gone bankruptcy. He went through bankruptcy. I called him up. I said, we should do the radio show. You can talk about real estate and stuff like that, and I can talk about investing. And we showed up. We went to we called them up. We said, hey, they're in bankruptcy, the radio station was, and we called them up. We said, hey, we would like to come talk to you about doing that radio show that just went off the air. So it had just gone off the air. We show up, and the guy says, well, hey, you can have 1 hour, but we can't pay you. So we weren't planning on getting paid anyway. And so we started that way. And that kind of propelled a little bit more and, developed a big agency, about 500 advisors that were out, all over the place as a result of that. And so what I've been doing most of my career is just teaching people really two things. One, how to manage their money. And the other is I work with small business people, and, I can tell them how to grow their business. And so that's kind of how it went. So
currently, how many people work for you at your company?
Well, I'll tell you what I did. I made a big move back in March and left the firm that I was with. And today we've got right at 80 advisors. We started a new registered investment advisory, and we're in 15 states right now. So and moving along. I mean, I got a lot of experienced people that we are doing kind of a, just a full service fiduciary wealth management type thing.
So tell me how that works. So if a guy like me called you up and said, hey, I heard you guys are a really great money management firm, like what can you do for me? Like, you kind of walk me through the process.
So if I were to meet with you, the first thing, that generally happens is we've done something already to attract you. All right. I believe that in any kind of business you're in, the most important thing you need to do is to put great educational information out. So one day people feel like you're the go-to person. So I do the radio show for that reason. I do put a lot of information out. So you might have met me through a referral or whatever, but the point being, when you come in, I know you have a goal. So I would start out and I'd say, Bill, thank you for coming in and taking your time to do this. So I can get right down to the point. What's your goal? All right. Why did you decide to come this way? And one of the things I find out is in the financial area, it's all event driven. And what I mean by event driven, somebody changes jobs or they have a baby or they get a divorce or someone dies. It's always very event driven. Something happens to them and that causes them to want to reach out. And so what I've always felt like is this: if I keep that information out there, education, I've had people call me and they say, I've listened to you for 20 years. All right. And they call and I'm like 20 years later. So I think one of the things that if you're a small business person trying to grow your business, you want to be the go-to person when it comes to expert. You're the expert in your field. You work hard to become that way, just like what you do by, getting out in the public.
I got to tell you something. Your business sounds just like my business.
Exactly.
I go out there, I'm an educator, I'm a speaker. It builds your reputation. You become reputable. People come into your office. They already trust you because they've seen you out in the public doing stuff. And the first question I ask them is exactly what you ask your clients. What's your goal? And the people will say things from, I just want to maintain a healthy mouth to, event driven. I just got divorced and, I want to start dating and I know my smile could be better. I mean, it's crazy. It's literally the same thing you're doing, And so we set up a treatment plan, just like you set up a business plan, right?
Right. And then we go into what we call the GPS. And so I find out what the goal is. If we start and think about a GPS, we get in our car and we say, where do we want to go? We put the address in and it says, okay, that's our goal. And then it says, you're going to go here, 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 and here. That's the plan. And it says you'll arrive in 17 minutes or something like that. And we do the same thing when it comes to your money. So what's the goal? Well, I want to be able to quit one day and at a certain age. This is the schedule, and then the plan in the middle. We put something together, and we come up with their financial independence number, and that is the amount of money they need in order to be able to quit, never worry about money again. And then maybe they have goals that they want to, after they pass away, they want to maintain the charity that they wanted to do, and we do things like that. And so we would just go through and start them. It's interesting how, when I first got started. I had no credibility. So the people that I worked with didn't have any money. And I was with a guy just recently that he was one of my first customers and he became a client of mine. And the guy he had $25 a month left over. And I set him up a $25 a month investment. And he called me up and he retired and never made a lot of money but we stayed in touch. But he accumulated $800,000. All right.
Wow.
Starting with $25 a month. And his house paid for him, a great lifestyle. Okay. So
that's
it's
amazing.
Like that, where you teach people. And one of the things that's been going on right now, it's very timely, the stock market's down. And I've had financial advisors that are out there, they're telling me, oh, I'm so stressed. And because the market's my clients and all that. And quite frankly, I don't have that going on. And I think it's a lot to do with the whole mindset of, if you want to really do the greatest job, give the information to, your patients, your clients, and then that way they know what to expect. And so that's kind of the way I've gone, is that big information.
How many clients do you guys manage these days with all those advisors?
Well, yeah, and I'm in a transition in moving into the new, but we've got upwards of 20,000 clients right now. And
wow.
Throughout all of the advisory group. So actually a lot.
I have a great idea for you.
Give me a great idea.
I think we should send out a mass email to your 20,000 clients saying, if you are a parent of a student 15 to 25 who's interested in leadership, entrepreneurship, and motivation, you need to send them a Leap
Week. We'll send out a video of it. I've got that video that I did, and that's part of the plan. I want to get that out there. So we will do.
And I'll tell you something else. It's funny. I just went to a conference this last weekend with some very, very successful kind of elite dental group. I mean, these are dentists that are in literally the top 1%. And they asked me to do a presentation on giving back, and basically my pitch was, look, you guys, you men and women have all been incredibly successful in your careers. And the greatest part of being successful is the ability to help other people. And we got probably about 40 Leap signups right there in the room for, and it wasn't that many. There was only about 100 people in the room. So that was pretty cool. And, I would love to see if my team can work with you and give you collateral information that you can use to send out, because you're already working with 20,000 people that are interested in, wealth management and, developing wealth. And these people have kids that are our future entrepreneurs. And there's no better place for them than Leap, right?
I'll tell you what, I look, I wish that, my kids are older than that. And I was like, man, how great would that have been if they had started in 7th grade or whatever that age is, right around that time, and just gone through, because I saw some of the outcomes, of the speakers that you had that had gone through it. I mean, it really is incredible. And, and it goes back to the whole idea of, one of your speakers said he read 50 books in a year. And I'm like, it's what I did. I did that kind of stuff, and I keep doing that kind of stuff. And he said he changed. And I think that's, what this thing does. It gives you a track to run on. So it's good. So I'm all sold on Leap. I've been bragging about it ever since I was out there this summer. So
I appreciate that. So the $24,000 question: if I am a student and I'm watching this and I want to have a career like Roy Matlock Jr., tell me some steps I need to take as I'm going through school that would really set me up to have a successful career.
I think the first, there's a couple things. My radio show is called the Money and Business Hour, and the reason it's called the Money and Business Hour is that there's a couple things that cause people to win. All right, and the first one is you understand financially how to spend less than you make, and so we work on that. And my kind of rule of thumb is, say live on 50%, the IRS gets 25%, and you save 25%. So if you're young and you're getting started, rule number one is that you got to learn to live on less than you make. The second thing is by the time you're 30, you want to have found something that you like to do, that you love to do. I ask people all the time, they have hobbies. And so how much time do you put into, my hobby? What's your hobby? I'll play the guitar. How much time do you put into it? And they say, as much as I can. And so the first thing you do is you find something that you love to do. And so when you do that, and what I would say to anybody, change, don't quit, but change, go from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. But by the time you're 30, if you can find something you love doing, you've accomplished two things. The first thing is that you no longer have a job. All right. Because it's something you love to get up and do. I know you love doing your dentistry. I love doing what I'm doing. So people ask me, when are you going to retire? I'm never going to retire. I'm going to slow down. But so the first thing is you live on less than you make. You find something that you love to do. Now you're 30 years old. You don't have a job anymore. Then you go become an incredible expert in what you're doing. You read everything, you meet everybody that can help you, you go do those kind of things. Now, because you're an expert in that field, you love it, you're putting time into it, your income's going to go out the roof. And then if you want to live in a big house or have an expensive car, you've got that other foundation, which is you're living on 50% of what you make. All right. And you go win. I mean, that's kind of my whole mindset is, and if you can sacrifice early, you have a long time for your money to compound when it comes to things. So if you get married and you have two incomes, save one income until you got $100,000. All right. And, do things like that. And your outcome is, I see people going 55 miles an hour in one direction, another 55 miles in the other direction. They're traveling 110 miles apart. One is going down the wrong path, the other's going on the right path. And in a short period of time, there's this gigantic gap. And so that's kind of my whole philosophy on you got to find something you like to do. People, if you hate your job, you're never going to make any money. You're never going to be any good at it because you're not going to put time into it. Right. And then, of course, if you can be a business owner, that gives you that bigger opportunity. So that's kind of that's my spill when it comes to that.
I love that. I love that. And it works, right?
It works. It worked for me. I mean, I knew back in the 80s that I liked helping people with their money. And so I went about doing things. I was on the radio. It was funny, and I was in my 30s, and people would walk into my office and they had only heard me on the radio, and they would look at me really funny. And I had a bookshelf behind me, and it had like about 50 books on it. And they would look at me, they'd be 55 years old, and I looked like I was 16. And they would look, and I would say, "Hang on just a second, I'll run get my dad." And they were like, looked at me. I said, "No, I'm just joking. I know you're probably thinking, how could someone like me that looks as young as I look be on the radio giving advice, especially to someone like you?" And I said, right here, that all of this, I don't have a few years of experience. I put it all in a short period of time. Every one of these books behind me is what I'm going to be able to offer you in the way of advice. And so I think young people, if they work hard on themselves, it absolutely pays off.
I understand that feeling. When I first started lecturing, I'd be up there on stage. I was, 31, 32. And, there were dentists in the audience that were in their 60s, 70s. And it's kind of like, what gives you the credentials to be teaching us, But over time, that kind of shifts. Now I go up there, I'm like the oldest guy, There's all these real young ones. So I feel a lot more comfortable because I don't feel, that. I feel like, okay, next year, I graduated dental school in 1983. So next year will be my 40 years as a dentist, which is just a long career. Most dentists don't make it that long. So now
it sounds like we're about the same age. I was born in 61. So
I was born in 58. So, but it's been an amazing career. If you had told me what the highlights of my career were going to be right when I graduated dental school, I just said, nah. But and then every so often, just when I get to a new pinnacle, something else happens, and I'm like, wow, that's so exciting. In fact, I just was contacted last week, and I'm going to get a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Royal Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry in London. So they're flying out there December second or third, I think, is the ceremony. It's a big black tie thing and all that. It's pretty exciting. So
it is. Well, yeah, and I would imagine if you look back, it's been a lifetime of self-improvement to get better. And I tell people this: if you'll do things that no one else will do, you get to do things no one else gets to do, right?
Yeah, that's a big thing I say at Leap. Successful people are willing to do the things that unsuccessful people are not willing to do. And that's a big differential. And I'll tell you something else. Kids come up to me all the time and say, Dr. Bill, what's the secret of success? It's not a secret. Work your buns off. That's the secret, and I say this as well. Successful people get stuff done.
Right.
I can't even begin to describe how many people I meet in LA. I don't know what they do. In fact, they don't know what they do. They just don't do anything. Right. I don't get it. How can you exist here and just not try to get the most out of life? So I love that you help people accomplish that. I love that you help people set up a generational foundation for, supporting not only themselves, but their parents and their children and their grandchildren. I love that. I mean, there aren't a lot of professions where people actually love what they do. And I know you do because you're doing good.
Yeah. Well, money, whether you control it or not, it's going to always have some impact on everything you do, whether you're, I always say this, if there's no gap between your income and outgo, your quality of life goes down. When you have a big gap, your quality gets better. And so, and one other comment about what you said, you don't know what they do. What I think, and you said, the people that are successful get it done. What I've learned that's the most important of the GPS is the S, which is the schedule, and you show up when you're supposed to show up. And that's when you start implementing. A lot of people have all these great big goals and great big, they got all these plans and ideas and everything like that, but they never get around to doing anything.
What does the G and the P stand for?
The goal, the plan, the schedule. Goal, plan, schedule.
Gotcha.
Your GPS. Yeah. And so that GPS, you can have big goals and you can have big plans, but if you don't implement it and everybody gets around. I remember back in the days, I loved playing golf, and I just, if I went and played golf and I hadn't got things done that I needed to get done, I wouldn't enjoy playing golf. All right, because I didn't get my work done, didn't get what I was supposed to be doing, and so I think a lot of times we just roam along and we don't. But if you put a schedule, I've been working a schedule. For a calendar for years, for over 20 years, I would always get all of my goals done in the first part of the week. I wanted to have 20 hours a week of very highly productive activity that only I could do. All right. And so I would try to do that on Monday and Tuesday. All right. Sometime I would have to add a little to it, and that would be hour. And my productive, I know what is specific productive for me, but that way the rest of the week I could coast along if I needed to. I'd already gotten things happening, and I never lived in regret all week. Oh man, I need to get to work. I need to do this. And so that's kind of how, it's just things like that, little things that cause people just little changes compounded over time, and that equals success.
You're 100% right. If students who are watching this want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do that, Roy?
There's a couple of things. You can go to roymatlockjr.com. That's roymatlockjr.com. You can go, if you want to get on my podcast, you can go to Apple, Spotify. It's on all that. It's Roy Matlock Jr. Money and Business Hour. And then we do have something on the website that I think is pretty good. It's a 12-part, 45-minute. So it's 12 45-minute courses that all they got to do is go in and put their name and email address in, and we'll deliver it to them. And it's literally from the budget all the way through investing, everything you need to know. We've got that. And then the name of my investment firm is Terra Wealth, and it's Terra, Terra Wealth.com. So yeah.
All right. Awesome. Thank you for this. Thank you for all your support, and thank you for just being an awesome guy.
Hey, thanks, Bill. Thank you.
All right. Hey, Dr. Bill, over and out.
Listen to the Meet the Mentor podcast with Dr. Bill Dorfman on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast.